In this video, I'm going to try a third-party application called LMU FFB app that seemingly enhances the force feedback feeling that you get from the default Mans Ultimate. But before I start, a quick shout out to Gamer Muscle's video where he showcases the application and goes through all the settings. But in this video, I'm going to focus on 4 key main areas that I find quite useful when it comes to racing in Mans Ultimate. So without any further ado, let's get started. Installing the app is quite straightforward and simple. I will mention the link down in the description so you can go there, download the file, extract the zip archive, and then just run the application in the background. I'm using the default setting, so I'm not used any presets. Just wanted to see how the base application enhances the force feedback. I only changed the wheelbase maximum torque to around 8 Newton meter because I'm using a Fanatec CSL DD with the boost kit. So my wheelbase can deliver a peak torque of 8 Newton meter. So we start with the GT3 car. I'm driving the Ferrari 296 at Imola. And the first thing that I want to highlight that the app changes the force feedback feeling is when you are starting from a stationary position. So I will show you that here in the pits. When you start from a stationary position and push the throttle pedal or gas pedal, you spin the wheels, right? And the application actually gives you that sensation via force feedback by vibrating the wheel ever so slightly. And just after you get that initial grip from the tire, there's a sudden jolt in the force feedback. I will show you. If you can focus on the wheel that I'm using here. So I hit the gas, there's a vibration, and then there's this jolt. I will try it again. Vibration and then this jolts. Basically, what I find is that the app gives you more feeling of the front tires or make it more pronounced than the default FFB behavior. Also, with that, so that's one thing. And also I would like to highlight, like when you are driving slowly and go from left to right, there's a slight heaviness when you just turn the wheel. So it's just like a, how can I explain? It's just like a you have a pendulum hanging at the back. So when you go from left to right, there's a heavy jolt. And this corresponds to what I can feel is how that front tires are changing direction and you get that initial grip. I think this is really useful when you're starting out with cold tires to get to know how your front wheels are behaving. Coming to the second point that I want to highlight that the application brings or enhances the feeling is when you're driving in cold tires. Because in default Mans Ultimate force feedback setting, when you start out with the cold tires, you barely feel what the front tires are experiencing. The force feedback, the default force feedback is quite numb, I would say, which makes the car feel a bit floaty on the track. And on top of that, in cold tires, your car is also unresponsive to turns. So that doesn't feel, you don't feel as confident driving in cold tires. But here, with this app running in the background, there's a subtle vibration in the wheels, which I would say corresponds to the friction your front wheel is having. Even though it's cold, it doesn't have too much friction. So there's a really subtle vibration that gives you the sensation, okay, you have some amount of grip in the front tires. I think that is really good because then you have more confidence in turning when you are driving with cold tires. Okay, the third thing that I see the app does really well is this braking and ABS feeling. So in default LMU force feedback, I really like how you get the ABS feeling that vibrates the wheel when you are activating the ABS. But this app, what it does is that it lowers that setting down a bit, so you don't feel spikes in force feedback when you brake hard. And it also adds one important thing that I see is quite necessary, and I really hope that LMU implements this, and that is when you're braking hard, the wheel gets heavier, and that I think corresponds to how loaded your front tires are. So like in this section of the track, when I brake and I try to move the wheel, it is heavier than the default force feedback that I get from LMU. I think that's a really nice implementation from this application, giving you more feedback when it comes to braking and cornering while you're trail braking. Like here in this corner, is really nice to get that sensation how much braking force you have applied. And the fourth major thing that I want to highlight that the app brings in is the curb effects. This is really interesting because I find Mans Ultimate quite notorious when it comes to giving force feedback spikes when you're over the curbs. Sometimes I even lose the car when I'm driving over the curbs. And I think this app implements the curb effects quite effectively in a way that it has reduced that spikes in force feedback, but also it doesn't take away the feeling that you are over the curbs. Like here in this section of Imola, you can easily go over these sausage curbs. You can still feel that you are driving over the curbs, but it will not lose the car. It will not make you lose the car just because of sudden spikes in force feedback. Overall, I really like how the application has enhanced the force feedback of LMU. There are lots of settings to tweak, and I would highly recommend watching Gamer Muscle's videos where he has gone through all the settings and how it affects the force feedback. I haven't tried all the settings yet. I'm just running the default settings here, and just by that I can clearly feel that I have more confidence in driving cars in LMU. So if you already own Mans Ultimate, do give it a try and let me know down in the comments how you think about this application. Is it worth it? Would you race online with this application running in the background? Also, an interesting thought is, will it consider as cheating in online? Let me know down in the comments what are your feelings and what are your thoughts on this app. Till then, happy racing and see you on the next video.